candles?
Oh, there's so many different things.
Things to do with candles.
Yeah.
There's tons. I mean, let's you got options when you're making candles in Tower Town. One you could sell them to wizards. Wizards love candles, right?
Candles. Yeah.
Right.
You can also you can also just sell them to people at their homes. Tower Town's a very, very interesting place. You got wizards, you got regular people, you got sailors. Everybody needs candles.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 big categories of people.
No, 3 big categories. There are 3 kinds of people in this world. You got wizards, you got sailors, you got everybody else.
Yep.
And
that's
the
pretty
rest.
All right. Thank you, Thistlewick, the candle maker. Hi, Twitch. This is Knights of Prospect, an improvised role-playing adventure. Thank you for joining us here this lovely evening. Quick shout out to our friend Matt Fear, who is making all of these technological wizardry possible. So thank you, Matt.
He's in the wizard category of people.
Yeah.
He is in the wizard category.
Still needs candles.
Yeah. Loves candles. I am Whitney Hawkins. I play Hazel Pippet, your local friendly halfling mountain druid. And I'm super psyched. I actually haven't played in a couple weeks, and I've been really, really excited to play because the last game I was in, we were fighting a giant octopus, and now it's been like 3 weeks. So I'm stoked jumping back in.
Wow.
Hey everybody, I'm Sam Hoare. I play Chauncey, the person who may have slain said giant octopus and may have summoned it and brought its destruction upon our town. Chauncey's a wonderfully accomplished, very young wizard, namely those feats I mentioned before, and winning a magic fair with a lovingly prepared trifold board. So happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Daly. I play Gregory Shitbeard.
Is it type?
Yeah, also known as Gregory Shitbeard.
Yeah, Gregory Shitbeard.
Dwarven legionary of dwarven adult age, not a child. The non-child half of this tetrarchy here of players, and yeah, Gregory is steely and likes to fuck shit up when he can, and he was not there for the octopus slaying as he would have wished it because he doesn't like going to sea.
It was super gooey.
Mm-hmm.
Real
Yeah,
goo.
not a
Just
gooey
like
fan.
a pulp everywhere when Tower Town became very pulpy. That's not great. That's not great.
Well, I'll pick it up there with the octopus pulp. My name is Kylie Rolinsick. I play Jelly, who is a mischievous 11-year-old human, nonetheless thief. So I am a child at 11. So I am part of the child half of the party. And so I am in search of adventure, fame. I am sneaky, and I am, my goodness, quick. So I will grab that opal ring from your pocket before you know what's what. And so I'm here for a good time, and also hopefully a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm Jelly.
And I'm John Serpico. I'm the game master. And as the game master, I have a few different jobs. One, every so often, I'm going to ask the players to roll dice. Now, this is a role-playing game, and because of that, sometimes there are things that are uncertain, and we don't know the outcome until the dice are rolled. Actually, if anyone, aside from Whitney as Hazel Pippet, wants to show off their awesome dice, now is the time.
Wow.
Do a dice check here while I explain what they do. So generally speaking, I will ask the players to roll dice from time to time, and they're going to roll 2 6-sided dice. On a 10 plus, they're going to do what they want to do. Their goal is accomplished. On a 7 to 9, they get a little bit of what they want, or they have to make a tough choice. On a 6 or less, they don't get what they want. But no matter what they roll, something interesting happens. So that's my job as GM, is to make sure that they are making big choices and rolling dice. I have two other jobs as GM. One of them is to talk a little bit about this world. These are the Knights of Prospect. They are a famed group of adventurers. This is the most recent class of Knights of Prospect, but the Knights of Prospect have been around for centuries, protecting the great city of Tower Town, as well as the whole of the Riverlands. They go on adventures, they help people, they try to make wrong things right. And that's why they are here. So they're having very, very big impacts on the world, which is great. And the other thing I get to say is that this show is almost entirely improvised. So this is a little different than a lot of role-playing games you might see on the internet, in that usually there are pages and pages of notes and scripts and all kinds of stuff. With this, we are really building this in real time. Anytime you, the audience, hear me, the GM, ask a question, I don't know the answer, and so it's up to me to take whatever the players say and fold that all into the reality of the world. Also, one last thing before we begin. Thank you if you are watching this live on Twitch. We are here every Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on 2MB Studios. But thank you also if you are listening to our podcast, and there appear to be, if the numbers are right, several hundred of you, so that's very exciting. And thank you also for watching on YouTube as well. So this is episode 41, and if every episode can stand on its own legs, but if you want to play catch up, go to YouTube, go to our podcast, find them wherever you get your podcasts, and you can play catch up the long and fun way. So that's where we're at. The most
John,
current, yeah.
Would this be considered a persistent campaign? Someone would like to know for tagging purposes.
Yes, this is a persistent campaign.
There you go.
There it is. So that is this is a persistent campaign, and we are persistent in our desire to entertain all of you. So for those of you that are hopping in for the first time today, welcome. These Knights of Prospect have recently saved Tower Town. It's not the only time they've saved Tower Town. It probably won't be the last time, but they've saved Tower Town from that giant aforementioned big scary octopus. And now they're kind of putting the pieces back together. A lot of damage has been done to Tower Town, and they are helping clean things up. So that is as good a catch up as we need before we get started. So given that, I think it's time to get started. So here we go. Yes, the smoke clears, and here we are in Tower Town. That is cool every single time. So Gregory, Jelly, Hazel, Chauncey, the four of you are in Tower Town, your home city, the city you know and love and help to defend. The issue, and I don't even want to call it an issue really, but the happening of big significance is that, Hazel, there is an elder from your village that is visiting Tower Town.
It came all the way down here?
They came all the way down here. And now, Hazel, obviously this is a huge deal, since you and your cousin Juniper are the only halflings from your entire mountain community that has ever left and actually came down from the mountain. So this is big. Like, it's the two of you, and now there's someone else. So the question for you, Hazel, is what is the name of this elder? And can you describe them in one sentence?
Oh boy. It's probably Carnation, Crenshaw, and oh boy, she's a toughie. Very serious, really strict in druidic studies. Doesn't have much of a laughter to her.
So, of all of the elders from the mountain, from the mountain community of halflings, Carnation Crenshaw is probably the toughest person that could have made this trip. they hold everything to a very rigorous standard.
She's like
So-
162.
Yeah.
And she's
a
not
toughie.
an elf. That's old for a halfling.
Yeah. So this is someone that, in your mind probably shouldn't leave the mountain at all has in fact come down into the Riverlands and crossed the entirety of the Riverlands and is apparently on her way to Tower Town. And in point of fact, she sent you this letter, which I will read right now. Hazel, I would like to thank you and your cousin Juniper for all of your correspondences from, and she puts this in quotations, the rest of the world. After consulting with the other elders, I've decided to travel to Tower Town in order to meet with these knights of yours and arrange a meeting with the human and elven elders of Tower Town. I look forward to all of you showing me what life in the rest of the world is like. Best, Carnation Crenshaw.
I'm sweating.
Yeah. So here's how this is going to work mechanically. The four of you, Hazel, Jelly, Gregory, and Chauncey, you are each responsible for part of this grand tour for Carnation Crenshaw. So each of you is going to do something to show off Tower Town or the Riverlands or something important to you, etc. All of you are going to be involved in each of these four parts of the tour, but one of you is taking the lead for each one. And Hazel will end with yours. Yours will be the final one. Your goal for all of you is to impress the elder. So that's the mechanics of this episode, is all of you need to come up with something to showcase something important to you that will hopefully impress this elder. Beyond that, the floor is yours.
All right, guys, what are you thinking?
I'll show this Carnation the earthworks, the new earthworks around Etama.
Oh, she'll like that. She's real into like stone and earth and that kind of stuff.
Do you think that she would like subterranean tunnels, sort of the labyrinthine underbelly of the town? Do you think that she would like that?
Oh, tunnels are good. Yeah. She lived in a tunnel for like 10 years.
That's perfect.
We
It's all
thought she
cool.
disappeared, but she was just down there studying rocks.
That's excellent. Yeah, good. The disappearing act of the tunnel wanderer. Yes.
That sounds like a great story I'd love to hear.
The title of my autobiography.
Well, I'd love to read it.
Amazing. Did you finish that, Jelly?
Three quarters of the way through.
That's very impressive. You're a fast writer.
Is it 3/4 of the way through because you're 12? Or is it 3/4 of the way through in that you got up to when you were 9?
I got up to when I was 9. So I'm
Okay.
thinking, yeah, 4/4 of the way through would be all the way up to about 12. That's
I'm
right.
just asking because she's going to ask.
I appreciate that. I feel like I'm gonna be ready with that answer. I'm gonna be because of this.
Okay.
Because of this moment. I have it locked and loaded.
Yeah.
You're so prepared. Hazel, I had a couple thoughts. I know she wasn't there, but I feel like it was really cool. Like it was really important. I did like so much cool stuff at the fountain, you know? I talked to the Inevitable and I talked to angels and I did all this cool stuff. And the fountain's kind of pretty. So that's one thing I thought. And the other thing I thought was maybe I could show her like a section of like forbidden books and dangerous crafts and things like that. That could be kind of fun. Spice it up a little bit.
I gotta tell you, Chauncey, I'm really relieved. I thought you were gonna say something really wild, like
Yeah, like
you know,
what?
light stuff on fire and burn something down. Or
I mean, I wasn't going to insist that she burnt
Summon a
anything
demon.
down, but I do want her to feel like she can do whatever she feels compelled to do at these locations. So, like, if she sees a book, I don't know, like the, maybe like the fountain, like she doesn't like when the I don't know, maybe she wants to change into something else. She wants to knock it over. She wants to anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. You just gotta understand, we don't think of ourselves as being mages. We're not. She's she is real good at turning into stuff. She just doesn't think it's magic, and she's not gonna trust it too much.
Oh, I mean,
I
okay.
think. But that sounds really good. I think I'm gonna show her Dolly.
Oh.
Does Carnation enjoy siegecraft?
No, I don't think she'll know what that is.
Mm.
But it's a big thing, and it has horns now. I think she'll like that.
Where have you been keeping Dolly? What's Dolly been? Where is Dolly?
Oh, she's still hanging around Etama.
That's nice.
Or for those in the audience that may not yet have met Dolly, Hazel, would you mind describing who and what Dolly is?
Oh, sure. She's a new friend. She is a 20-foot tall siege golem that I named Dolly. And she has little horns like me. And she really messed up that octopus. So she's still working on getting the octopus goo off of her. But I've been shining her up real good. And she's a very friendly giant robot.
Perfect. So, yeah, Jelly, Gregory, Chauncey, you've all known Hazel for some time, and you have never seen Hazel this nervous. In some respects, this may be the first time you've ever seen Hazel nervous at all. Even under great threat, Hazel has a kind of a calmness much of the time.
Hazel, you're so sweaty right now.
Hazel, you're horrible sweating.
I know. I'm slick. I'm like a stuck pig. They sweat a lot when you stick them.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why does this Carnation bother you? Did you wrong Carnation? Do you fear reprisal?
I didn't wrong her. She was my teacher. She noticed talent in me from a very young age and took me under her wing, sometimes literally, because she can also turn into a falcon. That was actually her preferred form for lessons because of the pecking ability and the eyesight.
Oh no.
It's very helpful for teaching.
Oh.
And she was real hard on me. So she was a really good teacher. I appreciated everything she told me. But just things weren't always good enough. And I don't know, she always seemed lonely to me. And I wanted to be like her, but I didn't want to be like her, you know?
I totally get that. Like with my parents and with any teachers I had before I escaped my home, I definitely have a real problem with authority. So I hear that.
I get that about you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So she played a big part in me wanting to leave. Because for her, everything has to be a certain way. And I just don't believe that's what the world's like.
Where are the four of you going to meet Carnation? She sent a letter along like a day ago, from on a rider that said essentially, I will be wherever it is you tell me to be. We'll meet wherever. So what specific place are you going to be to meet Carnation Crenshaw?
The farmhouse.
Yeah. So the Elkcrest farmhouse, your home away from, if your home is Etama, the chapter house of the Knights of Prospect, the Elkcrest farmhouse is your home away from home, or maybe kind of all your spiritual home. It's the place where you spend the most time. It has been rebuilt for at least the second or third time since this campaign began. And it's, this big collective of people. It's very busy. There's a lot of people learning skills. In point of fact, Vil, another one of the Knights of Prospect, is there right now giving archery lessons, along with her friend, and by your extension, your friend Radish, who has decided to stick around for a little while. So they're giving archery lessons to new hunters and rangers. There's currently a lesson where someone's learning how to shoe a horse, and it's just a very busy, interesting kind of farming collective. And so all of you kind of are standing out front as a you're kind of waiting for a carriage, just instinctually, you're staring at the road waiting for a carriage, and in point of fact, no carriage arrives. What arrives instead is this big gray-winged falcon.
Oh, no.
Kind of soaring low. And, right as this falcon lands, the earth rises up around her. And when the earth falls away, you see Carnation Crenshaw, the elder halfling druid of Hazel's Village. I want each of you to just give me a sentence, first impressions.
Oh man, she reminds me of my mother in a bad way. Oh my, I don't know what it is, but she just has this it's probably a good thing, kind of like a warm but potentially overpowering heat is coming off of her. That reminds me of my mother, and so that's a me thing I need to work through. So it's not necessarily bad, but there's a heat coming off of her.
Yeah, these very similar vibes, but she kind of reminds me of Gregory, just really intense. You feel like maybe, they're there to help, and you want them to be pleased with you, but you feel like they might just yell at you. Don't tell them I said that.
She seems to be wearing very simple earthen tone woven garments, but peeking out from underneath them all the way up to her neck are intricate tattoos. I don't know what they say, but they seem to tell a story.
And she's got a very lined face. She spent a lot of time underground and in the sun, neither of which is good for a complexion. And she has a tendency to smoke a lot of pipe leaf.
That's what that is.
Yeah, yeah. She's got a big bone pipe that she's always smoking.
Yeah. Carnation Crenshaw does indeed cut a very precise and textured figure when you add all of this up. She is not kind of stooped with age, but she has shrunk a bit with age. But at the same time, she might as well be 1,000,000 feet tall. She's dressed simply, but again, where her sleeves fall or where her collar is, peeking out are the tattoos that trace the narrative, Hazel, of your people. she and the other elders over, essentially once they are appointed as an elder of the village or step into it, begin a lifelong process of having their piece of the history that they must steward tattooed onto themselves, which adds to the mystique without a doubt. She is carrying only one thing with her, and that is her walking stick, which, Hazel, you know this walking stick very well. The head of it is a carved wooden beak, so that even when she is not in the form of a falcon, she can still peck at people with it. And then wrapped around the top is this notch where her kind of bone pipe is. And, you know, she kind of stands there for a moment and looks at all of you. And this is the delegation of the Knights of Prospect that have decided to greet me today.
Hello, Carnation, and I go up and I give her a reverential hug, because that's how we greet each other.
Yes. Hazel.
I follow suit. Hello.
All right.
This is
Hello.
Chauncey. He's also a Knight of Prospect, and he was a wizard and is now an emissary of an angel.
I know it's a lot to take in at once, but that's all true.
Also, he is a child. He is not a halfling. He is just a short human.
That was about to be my next question.
Yes, some say I am quite young.
I'm also a child, but I'm a human thief. Hello, my name is Jelly. I've taken my hat a little bit off my head as
Wow.
a sign of respect.
And again, they are human and not part raccoon like I initially thought they were.
Very misleading. I do have documents, falsified documents of internship with a fur trapper. I would theoretically be hunting raccoons. That was mostly paperwork that I was forwarding to my family back home so they would not worry about me. But I am not a raccoon, as it were.
As it were.
And it was.
Well, I guess all of the Knights of Prospect like sharing deeply personal secrets with people they just meet.
Sometimes. And this is Gregory.
She...
It appears we sent the shortest delegation we possibly could, I assume, to make you more comfortable.
She nods to you and then kind of pauses for a minute and straightens up and says, "Hail, Legionary." Well, here we are then. I am here to conduct, let's call it an inspection. As you know, Hazel, and if Jelly, Chauncey, Gregory, Hazel has not told you, it is very rare indeed for a halfling of the mountains to come down from our idyllic perch and see the goings-on in the lowlands. So I suppose you should all consider yourself lucky that an old woman was sent to see what is happening around here. The leadership of this city of yours is going to meet with me tomorrow to discuss matters of equal importance to my people and to all of theirs. But between now and then, you have my full attention.
You've been writing to the leaders of Tower Town?
Yes,
Okay,
a letter of introduction.
good.
I don't want... She kind of steps in and leans in that way where she's whispering like an instruction into your ear. And even though you're about the same height, she just seems tall. Like she finds an extra couple inches of height just so she can kind of lean over and whisper into your ear. And she says, I told them that if I was impressed today, I would meet with them tomorrow. So I don't want to put added pressure on you, but let's just say the fate of human, elven, halfling relations depends on me having a nice time.
Great. Cool.
Oh, I nearly forgot my manners, and I reach in my sleeve and I pull out a few crackers for your travels. You, if you are hungry, or perhaps to sustain you, so you don't have to stop for snacks in town.
Oh yes, and that reminds me, I also have a single yellow carnation.
No.
Or carnation.
Ah.
There you go.
There you go.
She kind of she gathers them up in her hands all together and holds them. I accept these gifts with the intention with which they were offered. So, where are we going first?
Gregory, do you want to show us the earthenworks? Oh, I can't.
What's that, Gregory? We can't hear you.
Gregory.
I will show you the earthenworks.
That's
so let's do that.
And so all of you travel to Etama, the grand chapter house of the Knights of Prospect. Etama sits, as we all know, atop a hill. And it's this beautiful old building with a steepled roof and a palisade wall. And, it rests upon these now recently rebuilt earthworks and earthen defenses. And so she is kind of looking at them and looks over to you, Gregory, and says, nicely rebuilt.
Well, it was a bit worse for wear after a few hill giants and a legion of thieves descended upon it. Personally, I wanted finely stonemason curtain walls with murder holes, things like that, but in a pinch, I think that ended up being a fine network of trenches. Look at this. And I pull a hidden lever underneath a bale of hay. The trenches fill with water.
Gregory, I want you to roll. Give me 2d6 plus charisma. This is just to get a sense of, is Carnation impressed by your presentation?
Well, I would assume so, because that's a 10.
Outstanding. It's, Carnation looks at all of this with, her kind of trademark stoicism. Like her eyes narrow and she just kind of observes and she paces and, kind of Gregory's talking her through it. And Gregory was kind of the perfect person to lead with because he doesn't really get awkward in moments of silence. So she's just kind of like walking and not even really.
They're basically the same person.
Yeah. And now that you see them kind of walking, they both have their arms kind of their hands clasped behind their backs. When Gregory leans over to point at something, she'll lean over. And they look very, their countenance is very similar.
Jelly.
Yeah, Chauncey.
Do you think there's any chance that this person is somehow some kind of magical clone of Gregory, or the opposite? That perhaps Gregory was cloned from this person?
You're right. If one was cloned from the other, that would be opposite if the other was cloned from the one.
That's right.
But I believe there's a chance that there is some kind of clonery afoot. They're just like legumes in a pod.
Wow, I didn't think about it that way. They're just like legumes in a pod.
Which is like a bean in a pod, and like a sack that a pod is in.
Do you think this requires further investigation?
Absolutely.
Roger that.
Carnation, after Gregory, kind of pulls one of the flood traps and, points about like these are the various kill zones, Carnation, gives nothing away. But at the very end, Hazel, she looks at you and says, I came all the way from a mountain of stone and rocks, and your intention was to show me a smaller mountain of stone and rocks. She turns to Gregory, and Gregory, she gives you a wink. But then she turns back to Hazel and looks very stern.
This is only the beginning of the tour.
Tour of Wonders!
Of wonders, indeed.
Thunder.
And presumably this will end in some grand crescendo in which the most impressive thing you have in this new world will be revealed to me.
Yes. Yes, it will.
Interesting. What's that? She points up over the earthworks and over the curtain wall of Etama to Dolly, who is doing her lap. What's that up there?
And that was planned for later in the tour. But you seem to have skipped right to the crescendo. So why don't you say hello to Dolly?
Well, I certainly will. I'm sure you have something even more exciting than this. Certainly, since we're not wasting the crescendo right now, are we? Of course not. I know you're kidding. Dolly, hello. And with that, Dolly, who, despite Dolly being like cleaned and polished and, repaired, and Hazel, you kind of put in all this absolute care, Dolly still smells like a fisherman's platter.
Sure does.
But so Dolly, kind of opens up the curtain wall like a gardener opening a low fence and kind of barrels down over the earthworks and stands in front of all of you. Ah, Hazel, my best friend and manager. Jelly, Gregory, Chauncey, hello.
Hello, friend.
Hi, Dolly.
I give Dolly kind of a hug around her shin.
Ah, yes. Well, things at Etama today are beautiful. The earthworks have increased our odds of defending against a large army by 30% by my reckoning.
Oh, that's great, Dolly. I would like you to meet my teacher and honorable elder, Carnation. And Carnation, this is Dolly.
I am Dolly. I am a siege golem made by a civilization that is no longer here. It is my pleasure to meet you. My main purpose is to destroy defenses and rip apart anyone that built them. Hi. And Carnation looks at you, Hazel, and says, is Dolly in good repair?
She's doing real good. I have no idea how old she is, but probably real old. And because I found a magic ring on one of our adventures, and now she is beholden to me. But also she is my best friend, and I'm her manager. That's why she has little horns. See?
Ah, I see.
Mm-hmm. But
Let's
also, she recently helped to kill a giant octopus, which explains the smell.
Well, then this shall be no trial at all. Carnation kneels down and with her hands kind of presses them into the ground. there's a great shaking and rumbling as a giant dirt and stone arm emerges, followed by a second, and pulling itself out of the earth is an enormous dirt and rock amalgam, roughly dolly-shaped, that kind of stands there while Carnation kind of has her hands down on the ground concentrating. And this kind of dirt monster kind of puts its dukes up.
Hazel, does she want me to fight her monster?
This is just a guess, but I don't think this is about you, Chauncey.
Roger that.
Just stand down.
Can you do that though, Chauncey?
What?
Can you make one of those? I thought those took a lot of time.
That would be a difficult feat for me in my current state.
Looks like Dolly.
Sure.
Interesting. It looks remarkably similar to Dolly.
Like a legume in a pod with Dolly, like the same.
So if it were some sort of earthen clone.
There's no reason to get this aggressive during a test. Dolly,
Yes?
just give him a hug. Just give him a hug. You don't have to fight him. Just give him a hug.
You know I am very capable of fighting, yes?
I sure do, but God, she always does this. She makes things a weird fight. Just be you.
So Dolly walks forward and kind of extends a hand. Hello, new creature. I am Dolly. I am a siege golem. And the dirt amalgam kind of raises a muddy, crusty hand and kind of bops Dolly over the head. Dolly is more... Dolly's not hurt, but Dolly is surprised. And Dolly kind of turns to you.
Hit him.
All right. Roll Dolly's attack, Hazel. That's 2d6 hack and slash.
2d6.
Plus 4 for Dolly's imposing strength.
It's 10.
Fair enough. Let's do some damage.
And that's 2d8.
Pop him back, Dolly.
All right, that's 17.
That dirt amalgam is destroyed. It is punched into nothing. Literally nothing. It is now gone.
I look back at Carnation. Why'd you have to do that?
Well, you introduced it as a weapon of war. I just wanted to make sure that it was.
I also introduced you as a best friend. Why didn't you ask her to braid your hair and tell secrets?
What else do we have for me on this tour?
All right. Was this one fun for you?
I don't know. She leans it again with that kind of over-the-shoulder whisper. I certainly hope you are joking with that tone, Hazel.
Let's go to a big fountain.
Ah, yes, the fountain! I walk right in between the two of them. Yes, this way, right this way.
I'm right behind Chauncey to further the separation.
Oh, what? A dance line? Maybe we should. Okay, if you think so, Carnation, let's go.
Always a pleasure to see you do what you do, Dolly.
Goodbye, Legionary. See you later for trading.
Farewell.
I stand behind a little bit just to wipe some of the mud off Dolly. And then catch up.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you, friend.
Mm. And yeah, you all, lead down to the to the fountain that has been the home of many of Chauncey's greatest triumphs and trials. Right now it is very well. It's rather idyllic. There are a couple of families nearby watching their children play at the fountain. A couple of people are filling up buckets. It looks nice. It looks just like a nice center. There are people selling food nearby. That great buzz of kind of city energy on the cobblestones. And Carnation just kind of looks at it. Well, it's certainly a fountain.
You see?
Chauncey has done acts of great heroism here.
So I am brought to a place where great acts of heroism have taken place, but I am not here to see one.
I'm sure we could do an act of great heroism if that's what you want. Would that be better for you? Would you rather me regale you with tales? And we could get some fried dough, or perhaps I'm sure I can whip up some great feat of heroism if that's. I bow deeply.
Maybe a reenactment.
Oh.
For the first and only time in over a century of my life, I have decided to leave the town of my birth. I have traveled across lands that are foreign and unfamiliar to me, interacting with people the size of which I've never seen, to come here to decide whether or not the people of my village, the enclave in the mountains, would benefit from engaging with the world at large. So given all of that, I ask again, what should we do with this fountain?
Maybe a little bit of the past and a little bit of the future. Let's just, if Jelly, if you'd be so kind, we'll just draw a circle around the fountain, as we do so. For you see, this is the sort of kind of a circle that was drawn many times here by myself to speak with beings beyond comprehension, beings of light, beings of dark. Gregory, can you just pick me up and tilt me sideways?
Tilt him.
Yeah, just over the fountain.
Can't you just grow?
No, Gregory, I can't do that anymore. I keep trying to explain this. Well, we could talk about my powers later.
Gregory, just help him. I drew the circle.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yes, I floated much like this as I spoke to the inevitable, a being that stretched out into many, many planes. It's very powerful. Okay, put me down. Put
him down, Gregory.
Quickly, Gregory. It's a performance.
Very well.
Good. And later, then I some of my staff and hold it like a sword. Here is where I dueled my brother to speak to a great and powerful angel. Jelly, pretend you're really bad with a sword for a second.
I can bet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bop.
Oh, I got bopped because I'm bad with a sword and I got bopped.
Then I gestured to the heavens and I received an angelic sword, which I used to slay an octopus, which happened else not here, more closer to the tower, but you can imagine it from here. Now in this short intermission, how are you enjoying the performance thus far?
Well, Chauncey, give me 2d6 plus charisma. Let's find out.
I do have a big finale planned for you.
In the intermission, I'd like to slip away to the Red Raven Tavern in the square and emerge with a couple of wineskins to go. I'll hand one to Carnation.
And I'm very charismatic today. I rolled an 11.
I'm doing jazz hands.
Really sells
Carnation takes a pull of the of the wine skin and nods very warmly to you, Gregory. I am looking forward to this finale.
Okay. Here we go. Well, let's show you something great, huh? As I spoke to this angel, a beautiful brilliance shimmered around me. It might look something like this. And I reach my hands up above the water and then the fountain, and I tear a rip into the angelic plane that is pointing upwards.
Okay, so you're going to use blinding light as a grand heavenly show of power. So let's go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your constitution.
A 7.
Okay.
Ah!
So the problem is that you couldn't really, it's hard to kind of rip holes in space. And so it kind of came out at an angle.
Hold on, I got it.
So Chauncey, I'm going to give you a choice of who is going to be temporarily blinded. I'm going to give you a choice of 3 options. You get to pick the one that works for you. Everyone in the tavern right next door that Gregory came out of, the top 5 floors of the Arcane College about half a mile away, or all of you.
I noticed Gregory walk back with the flax. They go, huh? And it tilts towards the tavern.
So, yeah, there's this big burst of very impressive light, this pillar of light kind of arcing out in this grand column from the fountain. Carnation kind of leans over to you, Gregory. Impressive indeed from this young one. And just as she says that, like, Chauncey, you're trying to hold this, it's like you're balancing a heavy plate. And all of a sudden it just kind of tilts and skews, and there's just a wave of screams coming from the tavern.
Oh, they have seen the beauty of the angelic plains.
Well,
We're fine.
it appears to me that the Knights of Prospect do indeed wield impressive, dare I say, holy power when they need to. That is something I will file away as I make my decision this evening.
Excellent.
Where to next?
Well, I believe the tunnels.
Before we leave, I run into the tavern. I go, here's some money for drinks for everyone. I put it right on the corner, and this wasn't Chauncey. You gotta go by.
There's a confused tumult. You walk in and it's like shattered tankards, and the bartender's trying to fumble around and like get the stars out of her eyes and grab for the money. And yeah, but thankfully it's not you. You said as much. So all of you head from the brilliance of the midday sun down into the dark subterranean tunnels. Now, Jelly, is it? You mentioned that you are a human thief with multiple identities and fake paperwork. Is this, she kind of gestures to like the tunnels that are like dripping and full of condensation. Is this where you ply your craft?
Welcome to where I apply my craft.
Oh.
Yes, this is an emporium of dreams.
Jelly, where'd you get that cape?
I had it in my pocket. Like a magician, I'm able to produce fabrics from my pockets. And here I have a cape to let you know that I am going to be a guide here in the subterranean underbelly of Tower Town. Show you about where I pull my tricks, my spoofs, and my creepy, sneaky movements. What do you think?
I lean over to Carnation and go, we don't even know if Jelly is actually their real name.
A mystery.
The Hazel, at this point, you've noticed that, you know, when Carnation is talking to you, and between that and what she did with Dolly before, it's just like that that kind of acrimonious, challenging teacher-student relationship. And, you know, the specifics of that are somehow sting more because every time Gregory says something, Carnation kind of opens up and is engaged and is nodding. And every time Chauncey says something, Carnation opens up and is engaged and is nodding. And, you know, you can tell, Hazel, because you know the woman, that, you know, she's still trying to get the measure of Jelly, but, you know, with the cape and the flourish, it's like Carnation's willing to give Jelly a shot. Like the benefit of the doubt, which is something that in your life, Carnation has never given you. And so you're all walking forward as Jelly is in tour guide mode, like backing up and pointing, cape flowing in the fragrant subterranean tunnel breeze.
You smell
So
that?
what are we here to see, or smell, I suppose?
We'll see you get a hint of octopus pulp from days gone by.
I do.
It triggers memories, I imagine, right? But there's also the dewy, sort of soaked in earth, right? All of the goo and the ooh and the wet and the liquid of stories and stories, right? Secrets seeped into the rock, into the slate, into the dirt. And I know that you know the power of that as someone who's familiar with the underground, right, Carnation?
Well, let's see how much this resonates. Jelly, why don't you give me 2d6 plus your charisma?
That's right. Oh, that's an 8.
So she it kind of hangs heavy in the air for a minute, and then she kind of straightens up and nods. Yes, I understand. Probably, well, given my age, I'd like to think even more than you, young human, that the stone itself is the canvas upon which history is written. She kind of rolls up her sleeve a little bit, and you see like more of the tattoos. I understand the importance of permanence. I am glad you took me here to see the bones upon which the city was built. And she kind of nods and you know, kind of puts a hand on your elbow and says, thank you for this. The complication, of course, because you rolled an 8, is that in this exact moment, Oh, who's gonna show up? That is fun. Yeah, let's go with Caliban the Thief. Caliban the Thief and half a dozen of Caliban's goons just so happen to sprint by at this very moment, literally holding the contents of a bank vault.
Oh, son of a badger.
They're fast.
And Caliban.
Yeah, Caliban, kind of in this moment, and you can hear the sound of, like, constabulary and various armed guards somewhere behind them. Caliban looks at you, Jelly. Ah, Jelly. Don't suppose you could do Caliban a favor?
Depends on the favor, Caliban. Let's get talking. It sounds like this is time sensitive.
Oh, getting more time sensitive by the moment. We have some items here that didn't belong to us until just a few moments ago when we have assumed possession of them, and now they very much belong to us. Unfortunately, those people back there disagree. I was wondering if there was anything you could do to slow their progress just for a moment.
Well, I suppose a favor here, a favor there. You know what I mean? If it doesn't take me too out of my way. Okay, so to create a distraction, is that what you are asking, Caliban?
Just the thing.
Good. All right, Caliban. Thieves have thieves' backs. There's a certain code, and I understand that.
That we do. All right, I will see you later, I'm sure. And Caliban, who is literally, like, festooned with bags of gold, kind of trundles off down the sewers. So what is it that you want to do to distract or otherwise hold up these constables?
So I'd like to put on a display using my sort of cape, like a cape dance. I use my cape as a kind of a flourishing device. So it's something that you might associate with like a circus or a magician. But I'm neither of those things. But I'm going to create that sort of visually dynamic display. And I hope that this is also somehow contributing to Carnation's experience in a positive way.
Yeah, she is somehow now wrapped up in a heist. So, sure, Jelly, let's have you roll. I'm going to say this will be 2d6 plus your dexterity to put on a display of virtuosic cape movement that is enough to distract those that are trying to chase down literal criminals. So tell me what you got.
I got an 11.
So you start kind of dancing and moving, and Carnation is watching this, and she and Gregory are kind of like taking pulls from their respective wineskins. And Jelly, this is the dance of a lifetime. And, the constables they're like half a dozen like private security that, that are kind of sprinting through, and they kind of stop, not necessarily because they're enthralled, but because you're just taking up a lot of space. There's a lot of, you get big on the stage. And,
wow.
And so you're kind of filling up the tunnels. And all of a sudden, Carnation's kind of nodding, and the constables kind of stop, and they wait, and they don't know what to do, and they don't want to interrupt you until eventually, like, one of them, like, waits for, kind of a moment of reset, like an emotional cycle of the action on stage. So I'm sorry, I'm terribly, so pardon me, there's a crime, pardon us, there's a crime. And eventually they're able to slip past you.
That is the dance of the kimono lizard.
I started trying to copy the dance while you're doing it. I'm still going.
I clap.
Really good.
It was beautiful, Jelly.
I couldn't tell what was cape and what was shadow and what was human.
That's the thing. It's all one continuum of flesh, shadow, and cape.
You moved like an autumn leaf in a cyclone.
Jelly, I cannot tell a lie right now due to my quest, and that was the best dance I have ever seen.
Thank you. Did you like when I ran up the side of the tunnel and did a flip?
That was amazing.
Thank
I
you.
wasn't sure though whether it was you or the cape went up or who was moving who. It was the best.
After a while, it feels like the cape is wearing me.
Wow.
Why do you not always wear a cape if you're capable of this?
I like to back pocket it.
Gregory, did you enjoy the dance?
It was certainly effective.
Pragmatism.
I would agree. It was emotionally evocative and served the purpose of buying time for your friends to escape. Impressively done, young human.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose that just leaves the grand finale. Hazel, what shall be my lasting memory of this day while I decide the fate of our people?
Well, obviously the most grand thing is knowledge.
Ooh.
Learning.
So Chauncey's gonna take us to look at some dangerous books.
Okay.
You know what? We're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna play this one in fast forward. Chauncey, you know, you do indeed take her to, you know, kind of the archive in the tower, which you have access to, and you know, you point out a number of forbidden books.
Can't look at that one. Don't look at that one. That one's
And
not
this
allowed.
one here? Oh.
Nope, not allowed.
And that one over there with the chain.
You guess.
Ah, the forbidden, yes.
You're getting it.
But by the end, you know, you're all kind of standing there in like the lobby of the Grand Tower, and she thanks you again, Chauncey, and looks at you, Hazel. The grand finale was that you deferred your responsibility, Hazel, to someone else.
I didn't know this was a test for me.
Hazel, I want you to roll Discern Realities. 2d6 plus wisdom.
Always a test with these teachers.
11.
Good. You can ask 3 questions off the Discern Realities list, or, because you rolled an 11, 1 question of any kind.
What do you really think about me?
That's the question. And the answer comes in that moment as all of you are walking out and walking into the courtyard surrounding the tower, and you're looking at the Masons rebuilding the dormitory after you and your friends saved this city, and you're surrounded by your fellow knights, and you're looking at Carnation, and you're looking at this, and you're starting to wonder, why after all of this, why after all that I've done, is Carnation still this way to me? And that's when you realize the truth. Carnation Crenshaw your teacher, the elder of your village, a woman that is literally a century and a half older than you, is jealous of you. And it hits you like a bolt of lightning. Jelly, Gregory, and Chauncey, kind of all bid their farewells to Carnation, and Carnation thanks them all very deeply. And then you and her stand for a minute, and she has that bearing of her about to impart some lesson or tell you something. But instead, she just kind of stands there, doesn't say anything at all, like she's waiting for you to speak first.
Came all the way down here. Nope. It's a long trip.
Yes, it was. Especially given my age. This might be the only trip I ever take.
I think it's really brave that you did it at this age. Most of us never leave.
When Juniper left the village, it was with the blessing of the elders, but it was a hesitant one. When you left, everyone agreed that you were the right person to go. I was the loudest voice of all, saying that if anyone was going to go to Tower Town, if anyone was going to join the Knights of Prospect, it would be you, Hazel. The best student I've ever had, the kindest, the most empathetic. You have not been gone from our village long, and you are a knight. You are a hero. And here I am, on the only trip I'm ever going to take. I am sorry for taking this out on you.
Thank you. And I'm only a hero because of what you taught. I'd still be playing in mud puddles back on the mountain if it weren't for you.
Because of what you're doing here, generations of our people will be able to do just that if they want to. Or if they want to, they could follow in your footsteps.
Our mountain has real good mud puddles.
The best. This was never a test, Hazel, and I'm sorry that I made it feel that way. I'm very proud of you.
I'm proud of you too.
She gives you a hug.
I give her a real one.
We'll end it right there. Good work impressing the elder of the village, everybody.
So beautiful.
Oh, it's that there were two big scary things in Tower Town this month. One was a giant octopus, and one was 160-year-old druid with opinions.
Oh, I feel like I got to work out some shit in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a pretty good tour too.
Yeah, that was a
Tour?
great tour. So here's what I had. So now, audience, thank you as always for joining us. Here's what I had planned: is all we knew going to the Royal. All I knew going in is that an elder from Hazel's village was coming to visit, and that they wrote a letter saying that they would be there, and that they wanted to be impressed. And so everything on top of that is what we got to build here. And the end result was, I didn't know if there'd be war games. I didn't know if it would be like reuniting with an old buddy. You know, it could be anything at all. And that's what's so fun. So the fact that this is how it worked out was like, this was the perfect tour for this character that we got to build.
Now, it's the closest I've come to crying hearing about mud puddles.
I know, right?
We're all accessories to a crime now.
We are.
Yeah, you definitely committed sewer crimes.
I feel like, Chauncey at least owed Caliban. He borrowed his sword for like a really long time.
Yeah.
Without asking.
No.
Right. And that's the thing. What I like about and I'm so glad, Jelly, you got a partial success in the sewers. Because I'm like, okay, what's a complication in the sewer? I know, a bunch of thieves show up mid-robbery. That's pretty good, right? And you know what I love too, now that I'm thinking about it afterwards, I love the fact that like you all trusted Caliban to defend the chapter house of Etima.
He did a
Caliban
bad job.
Did a great job, kept it safe, kept it clean. And I'm glad that didn't go to Caliban's head. I'm glad Caliban's like, great, I helped the heroes of the realm. This was awesome. They're back. I'm gonna rob a bank with my friends.
Nothing more fun than running through a tunnel with a sack of gold. So you got to get
Yeah. But that was really like all of you, like what was interesting too is all of you got to do something that was like, well, what's important to you? Like, for Gregory, it was very practical, and for Chauncey, it was this like philosophical representation of your journey, and for Jelly, it was like this place that's like, this is where you ply your craft. Like all, like you all kind of put
cape
Cape dance.
the cape dance.
Dance of the
Magnificent.
kimono dragon.
Yeah, super fun, everybody. And hey, super fun audience. Thank you for those of you watching in Twitch on 2MB Studios in real time. Thank you for being a great audience. As always, you already know this because you're already here, but we are live every Saturday at 8 o'clock right here on 2MB Studios. If you like watching comedy on Twitch, well, good news. 2MB Studios does it 7 days a week. We have morning talk shows. We have evening talk shows. We have comedy talk shows. We have competitions. We have an entirely fictitious wrestling league with lore as deep as Tower Town's libraries. We've got all kinds of amazing stuff. We have an improv show in which pictures and doodles happen in real time.
Amazing.
No matter your age, no matter your interest, 2MB Studios is the place for you. Also, if you are a big fan of learning things, well, we have a wonderful partnership with a great organization called 3 Weeks .courses. That is both their name and their website, 3weeks.courses. If you are interested in learning a skill, whether it is personal finance or career planning or learning how to run role-playing games, 3weeks.courses. I know, right?
Just like this.
Yeah, just like this very game. 3weeks.courses is the place for you. Just say that your friends at 2MB Studios sent you. Also, if you're watching on Twitch, in the Twitch chat right now, there's a link to our Discord. Feel free to join that. There's a lot of great stuff happening there. And feel free to sign newsletter as well. That is also very good. And links are in the chat. For those of you that like listening to our adventures instead of watching them, that's totally fine. You can find Knights of Prospect wherever you find our podcast. And if you want to catch up on our first 40 episodes, feel free to go to YouTube as well. That's it for us, everybody. Thank you, as always, for joining us on our adventures, and we will see you in Tower Town next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.